In today's video, we're going to install PopOS and set it up for gaming. PopOS is an Ubuntu derivative, but it also does its own thing. For example, it keeps you up to date with the latest kernels, and they have their own desktop known as the Cosmic Desktop, which is currently in beta, but it's in pretty good condition to start using. Right off the bat, the setup begins at the website. When you come to download the ISO to install into your system, you have to make the right choice here. We have the PopOS 2404 LTS computers with Intel or AMD graphics, or NVIDIA 10 series and older, or we have the PopOS LTS with NVIDIA graphics already pre-baked into the ISO. This is for GTX 1600 and up, and anybody with an RTX card. Once you've made your choice, we're going to go ahead and take this ISO and put it onto an empty USB flash drive. Make sure it's empty, because if there's anything on there, you're going to erase it. If you're on Windows, I recommend an app like Rufus. Make sure you have your USB drive plugged in. We'll select the ISO. It's letting us know it has a hybrid image detected. We'll just click OK. And here we have our PopOS ISO and our empty flash drive. All we got to do, hit start and OK. Once the USB flash drive is ready, restart your system and boot into that USB flash drive. This is the first thing you're going to see when we boot into PopOS. So let's go ahead and go about this the way we normally would, by selecting our language, then our keyboard. And here we're going to do a clean install. If you know what you're doing, obviously you can go ahead and do the custom install, but for somebody new, we're going to do a clean install. We have a selection of hard drives. Now this will be a typical computer setup. I like to do it on this computer because I have multiple hard drives. I like to show you exactly how to get it done right. I have this one right here that I want to use. We're going to select it, erase and install. Let's give it a name. Give it a password. And as for device encryption, this is totally up to you. I'm going to not do this here. And then it's going to go ahead and start installing everything onto the drive. All right, now once it's done, we're just going to go ahead and hit restart device. Once you've rebooted, we're going to go ahead and enter our password. The first screen is going to give you somewhat of accessibility features. The next one will let you connect to your network. Then we can select our language. Select your keyboard layout. And now we get to pick our city. I'm in New York. Pick your style. And here you can set up your layout. You can keep it as is, which will be the first one. Or you could go for a Windows style bottom panel. I'm going to keep it as is. And the workspaces will actually give you the option to choose if you want floating windows or tiling. I'm going to go with floating windows on this one, as I'm not too used to the tiling managers yet. This is going to show you how to tile if you choose to tile your windows. And it's telling you about the launcher, which is great. You just hit the super key and type in whatever you need to find. And the first thing I like to do with any distro is go in. We're going to find the store and we're going to go to updates. Once it finds all its updates, we're going to go ahead and update all. All right, now once everything is up to date, then we can start adding our applications. So now let's go ahead and install Steam. We'll go back to the Explore page. It's going to be right in the front page for you. We're going to go to the Steam installer. We're going to go ahead and install. Type in your password. Now once installed, we can go ahead and open it. All right, so the first thing I like to do when I open up Steam is always check to see that compatibility is on. I go down to downloads and I turn off shader pre-caching. It's up to you if you want to do it. Your games will take longer to start and you will use more disk space. So very optional. I turn it off. From here, we can go ahead and download some games. I went ahead and downloaded two, online game and local Linux game. I'll sprinkle some gameplay throughout. The next thing we can do is go ahead and get Lutris and Heroic Games Launcher for games that are not from Steam. We can get it all from here. So just type in the name. We'll go ahead and get Lutris. So we have two versions. First one is going to prompt you to use the system version, and then we have the FlatHub version. Now, to my knowledge, the system version is typically always older than the FlatHub version. I'll go ahead and maximize this. And here we see that this is version 5.14 from October 2023. Go to the FlatHub version. We get the most recent version, which is 5.18. 14, 18. We want this one. So let's go ahead and install that one. Now, if you notice that we didn't have to install a different store here, is because everything is already integrated into the Pop Shop. So we have Flatpak applications and we have the Ubuntu repository applications all integrated into the Pop Shop. So we can just go from there. While we're at it, we can see that the other things are here. We're going to need Proton Plus so that we can use custom versions of Protons for our games. Like I said, when it comes to Steam, I like to use Proton Experimental and Proton Hotfix as a default. Any game that requires a custom fix, I will use something like Proton GE. And to get that, we're going to use this application Proton Plus. You could also go with Proton Up QT. They both function very identically. I just like the aesthetic look of this one. We'll go ahead and install that one. This is also another Flatpak application. And let's go ahead and get Heroic Games Launcher. This is for GOG, Amazon, and Epic Games. Gonna be the flat help version. All right, because we're dealing with Flatpak applications, we're gonna need something to deal with the permissions. So I like to use Flat Seal. Go ahead and install that. Another useful application is called Warehouse. This will help you manage all things Flatpak, so you can deal with permissions here as well. It'll also get rid of leftover files. Let's also go ahead and get Gear Lever. This is going to be used for managing app images, which when I do emulation, this is something that I like to use. The best example I can give is RPCS3's official Linux source is an app image, so I like to use this to help it integrate it into the system. Let's go ahead and get the Flatpak version of LACT. This is going to help you overclock and change the fan controls on your GPU. Now, you don't necessarily need to overclock your system, but this will help you change your GPU fan controls. Fan control is an application to help you control your fans system-wide. I have videos corresponding to these suggestions that I made, so I'm going to go ahead and link them in the box as well, so that this way it can help you get further set up. And from here, you can go ahead and install things like Discord, favorite web browser, Signal. You could come down to the game section and get a bunch of emulators and other ways to play, for instance, Roblox, Minecraft, and open source games here as well. So as you can see in the gameplay while using Goverlay, I have some extra system stats on there, and we can see that we're using PopOS. We can also see that we've been upgraded to the kernel version 6.18. Now, the one thing I do need to mention here is that for AMD and Intel, we're stuck on Mesa 2512. Now, this Mesa actually allows for RDNA 4 graphics cards to be used on the system, but it is definitely way behind on the latest version, which is 2535. Doing it the way that we normally did with Ubuntu and with Mint by adding the Keysack PPA is also not going to get us the latest version. We actually have to do a configuration trick for this by upgrading our preferences.d and elevating the PPA's permission so that it can upgrade the Mesa drivers. Now, this is a little far more involved, and these are the things that they do to keep their system as stable as they need to. So keep that in mind when trying to game on here. This distro is basically a workstation that can be gamed on. All right, so there you have it. This is pretty much a very simple, straightforward setup of gaming with PopOS. If I missed anything here, please mention it down in the comments below so that we can help anybody who's taking their journey on Linux with PopOS to have a better experience while gaming on their platform, whether they choose PopOS or any other distro. While you're at it, go ahead and like the video, subscribe for more. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.